All right, so are you ready to become like an attraction detective or something? Because today we are diving deep into body language.
Ooh, I like that.
We're talking about all those unspoken signs that can like scream, hey, maybe I'm interested.
Yeah, it's true. Nonverbal communication, it really is like a whole secret language we all speak. And once you understand it, it's like you unlock this whole new level of understanding about everyone around you.
I am so ready to crack the code.
Yeah.
Our source material for this deep dive breaks down 11 cues she might be into you, and one major red flag she's not. Let's start with an interesting one, feet direction.
Okay.
So apparently, even if she's engaged in conversation, feet pointed away, that might mean her mind is elsewhere.
It's true.
It's like, nice talking, gotta go. But with her feet, not her words.
Well, yeah. This cue, it really highlights how even like seemingly insignificant gestures can actually reveal a lot about our true feelings.
Right.
You see, because our feet, they're instinctively programmed for either approach or avoidance. So if you're chatting with someone and their feet are pointed away from you, that could be a subconscious sign that in their mind, they're already planning their exit.
Yeah, like, bye. So it's like their feet are saying, nice talking to you, but I'm out of here. That's way more telling than I would ever guessed. Okay, this next one really surprised me. Nostril flaring. What? Is she about to charge?
Not quite a charge.
What's the deal with that?
But it does actually relate to those primitive instincts.
Okay.
Nostril flaring, it actually indicates comfort and openness.
Really?
When we're at ease and we're around someone that we like, we subconsciously open up our airways to better take in their scent. It's all about the pheromones, baby.
Wow, I never even considered that like primal element to attraction.
Oh, yeah.
It's fascinating. So it seems like a lot of these subtle cues are often tied to these like deeper, I don't know, biological responses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take, for example, some of the, I guess you could say, like classic signs of attraction. Revealing the neck, playing with hair, touching her lips.
Right, those all make sense.
These gestures, they all draw attention to traditionally feminine features, and they're often done subconsciously to like capture your attention.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's like they're sending this nonverbal signal that's like, hey, look, I'm attractive. Okay, speaking of captivating features, dilated pupils are apparently a huge giveaway.
Yeah.
But how am I supposed to notice that without like creeping someone out? I like your... No.
Right. It's less about staring intensely at their pupils, you know, and it's more about noticing a change in their overall eye contact.
Okay.
When someone is attracted to you, their eyes tend to brighten and their gaze becomes more intense. It's that, you know, spark that people talk about.
Got it. So it's not about like literally measuring their pupil size. It's more about the overall energy of their eyes, I guess.
Right, exactly. And especially when that kind of intensified gaze is combined with those like quick sidelong glances.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to catch your eye without being too obvious about it. That's a pretty good indicator that someone's interested.
Right, like they're playing a little bit hard to get, but they still want to be seen.
Exactly.
Okay, so eye contact really is key. It's like its own little silent back and forth.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes. Now, what about this whole mirroring thing?
Mirroring.
Yeah.
I've heard about this.
It's a fascinating example of how we subconsciously, we mimic the behavior of people we're drawn to.
Okay, so if she subtly copies my movements, is that a good sign?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mirroring is a powerful sign of rapport, of connection.
Wow.
It's like our bodies are saying, hey, we're on the same wavelength.
Huh.
The subconscious imitation, it actually helps to build trust and understanding.
That's wild. It's like our bodies are doing the talking for us, sending these subtle signals, and we don't even know it. So far, we've mainly focused on what she's doing, but what about the physical space between two people? Like, how do we know if we're coming on too strong or not being assertive enough?
Right. So it's not so much about being like overly assertive, but more about noticing if she closes the gap between you.
Does she subtly move a little closer during your conversation? Does she lean in while you're talking? These are all subtle ways of kind of inviting further interaction.
Okay, so it's like watching for those little invitations to connect on a more physical level.
Yeah.
And speaking of physical cues, this source mentions something called the interception stance. What does that even look like?
Okay, so imagine you're like walking into a room, right?
Okay.
And you notice her subtly repositioning herself.
Oh.
She might not be like right next to you, but she's definitely positioned herself in a way that you're sure to see her.
So it's less about being in close proximity and more about like strategically placing herself in your line of sight.
Exactly. It's a subtle way of making sure she's on your radar without being overly aggressive about it, you know?
Right, yeah. So she's making herself visible, approachable, but not being too forward. It's like a silent invitation to come say hi.
Now, the next cue seems like a bolder move, actually entering your personal space. How do we know if someone is just being friendly or if there's a deeper level of interest? Well, we all have that invisible bubble of personal space, right?
Yeah.
And when someone chooses to step into that space, it often indicates a heightened level of comfort and, maybe even interest.
But how close is too close? I don't know. I'm picturing that awkward shuffle people do when they're trying to find the right distance.
Yeah.
Like back up, too close.
It definitely depends on the context and the individuals involved for sure.
Right.
But I'd say generally if she moves within, 4 feet of you, it suggests a level of ease that goes beyond just casual acquaintance.
Right.
Anything closer than, say, 2 feet, and you're definitely entering what we call the intimate zone.
Okay, good to know. It's like a silent dance, figuring out those unspoken boundaries.
So we've covered a lot of positive signals, but what about those, less encouraging signs? This source points to crossed arms as a potential red flag. Does that always mean game over?
Not necessarily. Again, it's really important to consider the context of the situation.
Crossed arms, it could signal a need for personal space, maybe a feeling of discomfort,
Okay.
or even just a subconscious attempt to kind of self-soothe in an unfamiliar situation,
So don't jump to conclusions based on crossed arms alone.
Right.
Pay attention to the overall vibe and other cues she's giving off.
Precisely.
Gotcha.
It's all about looking at the bigger picture, I think, and considering all the nonverbal signals someone is sending, not just taking one thing and making it the most important.
Speaking of the bigger picture, this source seems to focus a lot on signals from women.
Yeah.
What about men? Do these cues apply across the board?
That's a great question. While this particular source, it focused on female body language,
Sure.
a lot of these signals are pretty universally applicable, I think.
Yeah, like dilated pupils, for example.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure men get those too.
Right. It's a physiological response to interest, to excitement, regardless of gender.
Right.
The key is to, like you said, look for clusters of signals, not just fixate on one isolated gesture.
So if we see dilated pupils, along with some of those other cues, like leaning in or mirroring,
Right.
that's a pretty strong indicator of attraction, more so than just one on its own, right?
Exactly.
It's all about putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
Right, exactly.
And speaking of clusters, this source also mentions something interesting about women playing with their hair.
Oh, yeah.
What's up with that?
Well, it's a classic sign of flirting, right?
Okay.
By drawing attention to their hair, which, is often seen as a symbol of femininity, of sensuality.
Right.
Women subconsciously signal their interest. It's like a nonverbal way of saying, hey, look over here.
And probably amplified when they're doing it while you're talking, right?
Absolutely.
Like they're not even paying attention.
It suggests that they're not only interested in you, but they're engaged in what you're saying. They want to be noticed, and they're trying to make themselves, more attractive to you.
Fascinating. It seems like there's a whole dictionary of these nonverbal cues we're unconsciously using all the time. It's like everyone's walking around sending out these secret signals, and we just don't know how to read them half the time.
Right, exactly.
But now we're getting a little glimpse into how that all works, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
This has been incredibly eye-opening. Any final thoughts before we wrap up our deep dive into the language of attraction?
Well, I think it's important to remember that, body language is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
It can give us, like we said, some really amazing insights.
Yeah.
But it's essential to consider other factors as well, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. Like, give us the full picture.
Well, for starters, clear and open communication is always key.
Of course, yeah.
Don't rely solely on, trying to interpret these subtle cues.
Yeah. Right.
If you're interested in someone, don't be afraid to just, let them know.
Yeah, just put it out there.
Exactly.
Don't wait for them to lean in or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, be bold.
Yeah. And then, pay attention to their verbal responses, Do they seem interested in what you're saying? Do you have shared interests? And, most importantly, just, I think, ensure there's mutual respect.
Yeah, that's such an important point. Like, attraction is great, obviously.
For sure.
But respect and open communication, that's really the foundation of any meaningful connection, romantic or otherwise.
100%. It's about finding that balance between, recognizing those nonverbal cues.
Right.
But also engaging in, respectful, authentic communication.
Totally. This deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I've gained a whole new set of skills for just, navigating the world.
It's a whole new world out there.
It really is.
You have the tools now.
Yeah, I've got my decoder ring. I'm ready to go.
Exactly.
Any last words of wisdom for our listeners before we sign off?
Let's see. Just remember that everyone is different, right?
Right.
And there's no, foolproof formula for deciphering attraction. Just trust your instincts, be respectful of boundaries, and most importantly, I think, relax. Enjoy the journey of connecting with others, Have fun with it.
Beautifully said. So to recap, we've explored everything from the honesty of feet
That's right.
to the allure of dilated pupils.
Yes.
We've unpacked the power of mirroring, the invitation of personal space, and even that cautionary tale of crossed arms, which may not mean what we think it means.
Right.
So we've learned that body language is a rich, complex form of communication.
Absolutely.
It offers these really incredible insights into the unspoken dynamics of attraction, which I think is so cool.
It's fascinating.
It really is. It's like this whole hidden language.
Yeah.
But remember, I think, like you said, the most important thing is to approach every interaction with genuine curiosity and respect.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the fascinating world of body language and attraction. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and walked away with some valuable insights. Until next time, keep those eyes peeled and those nonverbal cues in check.
That's right.
And remember, sometimes the most powerful signal you can send is a genuine smile and open heart.
Love it.
See you next time.